All right, what is up, everybody? Thank you for tuning into the Lulu and Brooke Show. My name is Brooke. I am a psychic, intuitive tarot reader. I am a wife, a mom, a dog mom, and a friend. My background is I was atheist for a long time, and then I had my awakening like 5 years ago. So up until then, it's just been learning a lot of very beautiful spiritual wisdom, knowing myself and understanding more of what this experience is. And this is Lulu.
Hi. Yep, I'm Lulu. I am a wife as well. I've got 4 kids. My background is fundamental Christianity. Um, so a lot of control, a lot of fear, um, intermingled with love and, good moments. But the underlying vein of it was like a fear of the future, uh, fear of pretty much anything that wasn't the core belief. Um, yeah, and now I am an artist, which was buried. All like my creativity was buried underneath all the fear. So it's been really exciting to sort of allow my creativity to sort of like fly. Um, yeah, and like all things spiritual. So like I'm like an artsy muse. I like to muse about all of the beauty of like the creator and sort of let my creativity flow.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice. That was really good.
Thank you.
You're
I'm
welcome.
getting better.
Okay,
That's
so
good.
we'll go ahead and clear some energy, and then we're going
Yeah.
to I opened up to a affirmation for today, and I believe Lulu is gonna pull a card, and then we'll start into the podcast, which today is going to be about visions, clairvoyance, and science. So
I'm excited about that. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm excited to hear your story. Like
yeah,
yeah.
cool. Me too. All right. I also want to just call in our guides right now and anyone that wants to come through within our podcast and shed some light uh, and bring in some downloads for us, clearer channels for us to speak during this time. So, yeah, beautiful. Cool, cool. All right. So, let's go ahead and start off with the affirmation that I pulled for us today is I trust my direction. I hold dear what matters to me, but remain flexible in the ways I walk this journey. I practice surrendering every should have. I can appreciate where I am and honor where I've been and still accomplish what needs to be done. So that's what
Beautiful.
for that. Yeah, yeah,
I
and
love
it's really
that.
good too because coming into this podcast, I was telling Lulu that I'm feeling a little fatigued and tired, but I'm just flowing with my own energies and I shouldn't be anything other than what I am right now. And whatever is in the past, it's like, would it be different? Should it be different? Or should I have done it this way? It's like,
Yeah.
really any matter anymore because it's in
Yeah.
the past. So why hold on to that worry? Why hold on to those thoughts and have them come through to stress you out, right?
Yeah. I know. And like we're all like that's part of the human experience. And that's
Mhm.
something I'm breaking out of too, of like waiting to be like perfect. That's
Right.
never gonna
Yeah.
happen. You know what I mean? Like one day, like we're already perfect,
Right. Exactly.
not in a cliche way. Like we're
Right.
already good,
Yeah.
and I I truly feel that for other people. It's really hard to feel it for myself. Like I'm learning,
Yeah. Yep.
like let yourself just show up, like that's
Right.
still really foreign to me,
Yeah.
but we're here and
Yeah, for sure. And when
we're
we
there for each other.
surrender into what is rather than thinking, oh, should I be this way or should I be this way? We let our energies flow authentically, and we don't suppress ourselves or have expectations for
Yeah,
ourselves,
for
which
sure.
relaxes us. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
cool.
This is Benson. Wanted to say hi.
Benson. Hi,
Say hi.
Benson. Aw, he's a big meatball.
He is. He really is.
That's how Ludo looks too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
He's
he's a
not
little.
smaller. Is he small? Is he?
He's no, he's about 60 pounds,
Oh, he is. Oh,
65.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's probably like the same. Maybe 70, maybe
Okay.
75.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
Nice.
but low to the ground, kind of.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, that's how Ludo is too. And he's just like he's a nice mass.
yes, like
Yeah.
he's low to the ground, so he's not like, you know,
Right.
he forgets where his trunk, like where his butt is. So like he'll just take one of the kids out when he's like getting excited. He'll just like back up and then he'll like turn and they're like, ah!
Nice.
Like watch
Ludo's,
out,
Ludo sits
everybody
on everybody.
move. Ah, that's okay. Yes, Maria, 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 come here, come here, come here. Good boy. Okay, let's do
Aw.
it.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna draw
Want
the
to pull a
heart.
card?
Okay.
Yeah.
This is my very favorite deck. I don't have many. I forget what it's called. It doesn't matter. But it's like cosmic, like all of the
Oh,
there's just
yeah.
like
Cool.
yeah. And all the messages are really, really like deep. But not like very tangible.
Yeah.
Ooh, Merkaba.
Oh, nice. Yes.
So number 32, the frequency of Merkaba supports our ability to use our consciousness to transverse into other layers of reality and dimensions. It activates our access to our Akashic inheritance as well, merging the totality of our experience into our present to serve our highest purpose.
Nice. Wow, beautiful. Man, that fits right in with what we're talking about today, too.
And it has like the full spectrum of like all the colors
Yeah.
like just coming through, which
Cool.
is like what we're talking about today,
Right. Yeah, I
right?
know exactly. Yeah.
Because like
Yeah,
yeah, I love
that's
it.
what I was thinking too. Like right when you pulled it, I'm like, hell yeah, man. That's
That's
like
like full
exactly
spectrum.
right, right. Yeah. Have you tapped into the Merkaba within yourself?
I've done a couple of like visualization meditation
Mm-hmm.
type.
Yeah.
Um, so yes,
Cool. Nice.
not like consistently, but
Right.
I have. So like
Yeah.
yeah. How about you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Within this past year, I think it was around May is when I really tapped into, so I worked a lot within my chakras and I could tell that my chakras were kind of clear. And
Mhm.
then, like, of course, you're always going to have things that come back and you have to work on them. Of course, it's like
Yeah.
you're not always going to be
Like a
like
tuning.
clear vessel. Yeah.
Mhm.
But when I reached that point of feeling all of my chakras and being able to express them in a very nice fluid way, um I was led to work within my Merkaba, which is basically just having the higher dimensions. I think one flows one way and the bottom flows a different,
Okay.
but they coincide with each other and they
Yeah.
clear out your energy and your auric field, so the round
Okay.
circle around it, and
Yeah.
helps you stay within a higher vibrancy.
Okay.
So yeah, it's
Oh,
really
that's beautiful. Yeah.
yeah, sweet. So
Yeah.
did you have something else to say?
No, I'm just letting that sink in. Like that was so
Cool.
beautiful. I'm like,
Yeah.
I just love like the like, is it like inertia? I don't know, like inertia is coming to, but that just that pushing out and like
Yeah.
pushing down, and it's like as within. So it's like all it's all in there, and like you
Yeah.
need like the full spectrum of it. It's
Yeah,
just
most definitely. And
yeah,
I really like what we're talking about today because I never got into science of spirituality, really. I just
yeah,
always saw things as being spiritual and everything just like is, and it's all energy and it's all interconnected and everything.
yeah,
But then I was looking into excuse me, into science, and it's like basically the same thing, just people being able to put that into a material form and be like, hey, look, this is what it is.
yeah,
Vibrations and everything like that are real type of thing.
yeah.
So I'll let you speak about that more
Okay.
because it's like that's basically all I have
Yeah,
about the science
you're
part.
so cute. I know. I mean, like, I'm not a huge like. I just I like I kind of I'm a bit, like we're both busy moms, like we're both, like we're just, so I have the things and I'll sort of take in a lot of information and
Yeah.
then it sort of just takes root, like in my inner world. So I
Yeah.
don't know, like I'm not a science person,
Right.
like I'm not
Yeah.
a scientist.
No, we'll
So
just talk about everything. So no
yeah.
pressure or anything of
Do
being
you
like,
want to, how about I list like the list and then so that we have it out there.
sure.
And then maybe you can talk a little bit about your journey of like your vision, like how your visions began.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back and we'll see like what kind of pops out of this list. Because we don't have to talk about everything, but like
Yeah.
this is how science prompted me on my journey. And it was so cool. Yesterday, one of the moms, when the younger kids, like first kindergartners through second grade, you have to wait, for them to go inside their class. Like you have to,
Yeah.
So JJ's here, and then literally like Gia's classroom is right across. So I drop off JJ, and he has to watch me like the whole time, because he just, he's turning 6 on Sunday.
Aww.
And then once he's inside, then I walk like 10 paces to Gia's. And then one of the moms of the little boy in Gia's class, we've talked before, and like her background is a little bit more like not really. She's very open minded, but definitely a little bit more like traditional Christian in a sense, but very open minded. Like she's not searching, but she's just like expanding.
Yeah.
But she's seen me. Sometimes I take a walk with Emma because you can go up and around the school. And so she's like, hey, are you going to take a walk today? And I was like, oh yeah, I wasn't planning to. I mean, sometimes I just change my mind and I do it, but I was like, yeah, sure. So we took a walk. We went around like twice, 2.5 times. And just talking about like life and stuff. And, but anyway, like a couple of things came up that I totally forgot about my journey. And I was like, oh, this is so like the universe. Like,
yeah.
And it, like, she asked me, like, and usually, like, I'm busy, like, I have to come home, I do my art, like, I'm not in that space right now. But if somebody asks me,
right,
it's cool to be there, like, like, I can show up,
and then it comes back like that, too.
Yeah. And it was just like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So I had forgotten, like, one of the very first things that expanded my consciousness was back in 2000. I wasn't pregnant with Daniel yet. So 2014. Maybe 13, the end of 2013. And a documentary called Blackfish came out on Netflix. And it was kind of a whistleblower on the orca at SeaWorld.
Okay.
And how they made them put on shows and just things that like we went to SeaWorld in the 90s, and like we sat in the bleachers and we, and I mean, it's just so like, it gives me like the sad goosebumps, because it's just like, oh man, but I mean, you knew better, you did better, or you know better, you do better, Right. So, but I remember watching that, and I had, so this kind of ties into like why science was really important to me as I began this journey.
Right.
So growing up, and I'm talking to her, I realized this sort of dichotomy of Christian culture. At least this is my perception. And it's hard to know, like, if this is everyone's perception. I don't know. This is just how it filtered into me. Like, so this was my perception of, so like the earth is supposed to only be like, this is so silly. Like I can't say it with a straight face, but so according to like Christendom, like the earth is only like 10,000 years old. And it started with creation and it'll end with Jesus coming back. It's linear. Everything is literal, even though we've evolved past slavery and misogyny and stuff. Like it doesn't matter. Like we still take the Bible literally. We just overlook those parts. And like we have dominion over animals. So filtering into my consciousness as a kid, it was like this, like animals are kind of secondary.
Yeah.
Or
they're meant to be controlled or caged or.
Yeah. Like those things are bad. Like we don't want to, like we would look down on people who are like abuse animals,
Yeah.
but it's okay to just, we don't really, it doesn't, we can't really control the mass production of how meat is made. We're not going to really think about that.
Yeah.
Those darn liberals are just, it's all about the planet. Like that, those things don't really matter because it's all about your soul and you don't want to go to hell. So like, that's kind of how, like, as a kid, it was just this. So watching this documentary, and seeing how intelligent like whales are,
Yeah.
and just like how, like, that's such a travesty. Like it was just so like, oh my gosh. And it just opened me up to like, this is something that I care about.
Yeah.
And we should be saving them. And like that was like always like a huge like, oh gosh, those liberals wanting to save the whales, like what about babies? Like, and it's like, of course, like, but what about, but then that's a whole nother thing,
Yeah.
like,
Right.
like abortion just, like, I'm not saying abortion is good or bad. I'm saying if you want all these babies to be born, then we need to start doing more for people
Right.
and the trauma
Right.
of why they're even in the position to be getting an abortion. So like that's a whole other thing.
Right.
But like whales are important too. Like,
Man,
nature
yes.
is,
And I don't understand why there always has to be like a comparison.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's like
yes.
We don't need a comparison when everything is one, everything is love. We are
Exactly.
connected to the animals, we're
Yeah.
connected to the plants, to the trees and stuff. And one thing isn't more important than the other. Like, sure, we
I know.
talk and stuff like that and have
Yeah.
minds and to where we have discernment and stuff, but that
And it all
doesn't,
comes down to love and
yeah, we all have the same hearts. We all have hearts. We
yeah.
all have organs. We all
This
communicate with love.
yes.
Yeah.
And like this awareness that we're talking about, where like the common denominator is love,
Yeah.
that really can't fit into a separation. And when you view the world from separation and fear,
Yep.
it's like they both can't be there.
Right.
Your denominator is either fear and separation. And it's like, well, it doesn't really matter because the earth is going to burn away one day. I mean, it's so sad, and people are going to go to hell. So it's like, what's the point? And it's just like, that's one denominator, or it's love, and they both matter. And we need to do, not do more. Oops.
You're good. I see you.
Okay.
I don't see you anymore.
I know I pushed it to the, hold on one sec. Can you push pause?
Yeah.
I just want to make, I don't know if it's the,
okay. So we were talking about the whales and such.
Yes.
And then you got to
like just the, yeah.
And then
so like that was
yes.
So not really having a sense of compassion towards all living creatures, plus the like creationism, that was also like I see now in hindsight, like I never really bought it, even though it's just Christians are really, and I think it's because evolution, like Darwin came out, and I don't know if they see it as like, all I know is like Christians are really offended. Like they feel like they need to, and I felt this way too.
Yeah.
Like everything is offensive, and I feel like they think that they need to be offended for God, like for,
right.
when in reality, like,
because then they feel like they don't care or that they're not doing justice or something like that.
But even when they're not, and it's like they're caring about the wrong stuff. Like if you're going to care, like it's okay to care about the planet, like it's okay to care about the whales.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like, it's all, and it's because they don't see it as one. They see like separation, and it's like, no.
Right. Yeah. And that's why we're having like so many, so many cities and so many plants happen, like plants as in like distribution plants and stuff like that.
Yeah,
In like just like paper mills, polluting the water and ripping down forests and stuff like that.
yeah,
But in the end, the water is life. Water is the most important thing,
yeah,
along with oxygen, trees and the
yeah,
quality of breathing. So it's like everything is connected. And when people wake up, but also when we're healing ourselves, like our lungs are the trees, like our blood, our veins
yeah,
are the rivers. Like it's like when we heal us, we're connected to the earth. So you know, since everything is one and we are one with the earth, we are truly healing the earth too. And the more people that do will see
yeah,
that we are so connected, and it'll shift. And a
yeah,
lot of people will be having more love, coherency around the earth and the animals and stuff like
yeah.
that. So,
And speaking of water, that was the other. So orca, like the understanding, like what we do matters, in
yeah.
terms of animals.
Hmm.
And then I remember shortly after that, I always have had a thing for classical music. Like I love classical music. I would dress up in like ball gowns as a kid and like
Yeah.
dance to classical. So like
Yeah.
physically, I love it. But there's certain like Mozart has been shown to be able to calm down epilepsy
Wow.
in the brain.
Yeah.
Um, and I watched a video last night about how classical music is basically like geometry. Like it's like, it's incredible, and just like like expanding again of like, wow, sound is like, and this is when I started getting into like, or watching little videos about vibration
Hmm.
and realizing like, this is like, these things are happening all the time, like, and
Yeah.
if these things have healing qualities, but these things have been stigmatized,
Yes.
labeled,
Yeah.
labeled, woo woo or new
Yep.
agey.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so now I'm like, the creator made those things too.
Yes. Yeah.
So like the everything can like technically those things aren't even like on the earth, because
Right.
like growing up, like that was huge. Like the earth is cursed, like the earth is going to pass away, like the earth. So it's like, okay, so going on that vein, like if everything on earth is worldly and awful, so what about vibration? Like what
Yeah.
about sound? Like even there's a
Yes.
verse in the Bible, I think it's John 1, in the beginning was the word. And the word, and like as a kid, I immediately, like when I heard word, I thought it, like the Bible, like I
Yeah.
thought the like, so like that was huge for me to like start pulling apart, like, okay, it's not talking about a physical like book, it's talking about word, it's talking about sound.
Yeah.
In the
Yep.
beginning was sound and vibration, and then
Yes.
and
Hmm.
in a sense I feel like there was a big bang, like and not separation, because we're not separate, but that awareness of, wait, I can't know myself unless something is like apart from me for a moment, like
Yeah.
unless there is
Right. Because
duality.
you need to dissect it. You need to understand.
Yeah.
You need to question it. But also, the word part is like also it is what we speak of
Mm-hmm.
ourselves too. And what we speak
Yeah,
is our words are spells, our words are creation,
I
and
know.
our words are what bring in like the divine essence of our imagination, which is basically
Mm-hmm.
just an interconnectedness to the universe of how our own journey can be manifested. And when we have confirmation in that and when we speak those words,
Mm-hmm.
it puts out that vibration into the world of,
Yeah.
hey, I'm putting this out, now reflect it back to me.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
love the visual of sort of like the gosh, like the road under us is like formed, like we're putting down the
The
tiles.
stones or the,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah, the
as we're
stepping
moving
stones.
forward,
Yes.
like it's
Yeah.
like everything is Like
Yeah.
that's so powerful to me. And like probably 5 years ago, it would have been like, that's so much responsibility. But it,
Hmm.
but it like as you grow towards that and you realize that there's so much grace
Yeah.
for no matter what we choose, like,
Yeah.
and believing like the universe is always co-inspiring
Yeah.
in our behalf,
Yep.
and those things I think you just you have to, it's just a an expansion of
Yeah.
realizing that,
Yeah,
so kind
most
of
definitely.
segue into like talk about your vision, your
Okay,
like your
sure.
journey.
Yeah. I also want to say that like it starts becoming fun, right?
Yes,
When you
yes,
let go of all the fear or whatever, and when you understand that like, okay, well, this isn't really gonna happen. Like if it does happen, I'll be prepared for it and I can accept it and there's always a way around or through or whatever it may be. But
yeah,
I'm not even gonna worry about that. I'm gonna focus on myself and speak and be what I want to be and pave myself my own way and
yeah,
have fun with it, rather
yeah,
than thinking about what's gonna go wrong or what's
yeah,
coming at me or whatever it may be. So that's awesome. But also
yeah,
talking about interdimensional and multi-dimensional stuff. We
yeah,
are multi-dimensional beings and all of the clairs, clairvoyance, which is like seeing and visions and the knowing, clairsentience, being able to smell out of nowhere,
yeah,
like different energies or different smells or whatever, like even if like say my grandpa, he owned a bait shop and when I was small, that bait shop had like a very old, like dewy smell,
yeah,
but like a fish tank type of smell too.
okay,
Also, my grandpa had a significant smell, and sometimes when he would visit me, I would smell him.
yeah,
So as I was growing up. So that was really cool. That came when I awakened though. So I guess I'll go back to the start. When I was small and clairvoyance. So my gift mostly is like clairvoyance. Like I get visions, I can feel
yeah,
energy, I can sometimes like see energy and
mhm,
stuff like that. And that's also how I put my messages out and how I receive for my messages. Um, but while I was growing up, the first point of me having visions was my mom just telling me that when I was small, like I could see my Uncle Joe John, who had passed when my dad was small, but
yeah,
like my guardian angel. And then I would see wolves and stuff like that. And I was always outside when I was small. So I was probably
yeah,
always connecting to like fairies and trees, stuff
yeah,
like that, when I was growing up. So I had a very nice imagination, and then
yeah,
when I got older, maybe about teenage years, I started to see like I would just see so within Native American culture, the owl usually symbolizes death. And every
oh, I
once
didn't
in a
know that.
while I would see an owl. And now looking more into the symbolism of owls, they can also mean wisdom and stuff
Yeah,
like
that's what I thought.
yeah.
Or that's the first thing that I thought of.
Yeah, yep. But for Native Americans, it was like like a superstition type of thing. But
Yeah,
I mean, if that's what you think and when you see it, that's what's gonna
mhm,
happen type of thing. So I would be like, oh hey, I just saw an owl. And at the time I was very desensitized, like, like I was
yeah,
in my own deep, very deep world. But I would be like, okay, someone's probably gonna die or pass away,
yeah.
type of thing. I would just walk into the house and be like, oh, hey, mom, I saw an owl and I don't know, maybe someone might die or something soon, type of thing. And
She's
back, I'm
like,
like, damn, dude, like, holy shit. But then my mom's like, what, really? And then it would be like, I remember one time it was her great, it was her aunt or something that passed
mhm,
away. And that was like 2 days after I saw an owl or something like that. And then
oh
another
wow,
time I had a dream of my mom's uncle. My mom's uncle, I don't remember his name, but I'm like, Mom, I had a dream that your uncle died or whatever. And she's like, oh my God, he just passed away like this morning. And I'm like, wow, no way. And at the time, I'm like, whoa, that's fucking freaky, And
yeah,
the freaking weirdest one was when I was like 18 or something. I think Michael Jackson died. And right after he died, when I found out that he died, I'm like, Patrick Swayze's gonna be next. And like a couple of months later, he passed away. And I'm like, holy fuck. At the time, I'm like, see, I told you guys. Like, I didn't even know. I'm like, see, I called it. And I
Yeah.
don't know if it was the other way
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
I don't remember what order they went in, but it was like somehow I knew,
Yeah.
but I never put it together. I never understood that I actually had like a gift or it was like
Yeah.
something within me
Hmm.
until when I first awakened, I was having the most crazy visions, man. And when I first awakened, I remember because I was really lonely at that point, and Sammy would be she would be at work or something, and I would just be getting downloads like crazy, and I didn't know what was
Yeah.
going on, and I was kind of freaking out, and I would try to sleep, and I remember I got this Native American like pottery thing. It looked kind of
Hmm.
like a vase that you would put like flowers in or
Hmm.
something, but it looked more like Aztec or something. And it had a pattern of like a triangle on it. And in my dream or in my vision, I went into that pottery and it became like a tree. And I went under into the tree and there was this old ancient woman in there.
Yeah.
And like she had little bitty like hairs. She was like ancient, dude. And I looked at her and she had like bones all around her and like her
Yeah.
feathers and stuff. And she opened her eyes and it was like poof, and it hit me right in the chest and it freaked me out so bad. I woke up and I had to turn on all my lights. And on my journey, she kept coming to me, and the more I healed, the younger she would be. And she's here in my root chakra to help
Yeah.
me ground and stuff like that. And she brings in like I have like earth codes, like shamanic earth codes that I
Mhm.
say and do that brings in healing from, I believe she's from like a past me who was like a shaman or something like
Okay.
that. So, but I
Yeah.
had visions of her from the start and I didn't know who she was. I've also had visions of like, being on top of a mountain with like some elk piss or whatever, and a big buffalo came in with like five moons over its head, and it was like May or no, the 28th or something like that. And I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen then? And they're
Yeah.
like, I don't know, you figure it out. And I'm like, okay. And I woke up and I was laughing. So I wrote down, I'm like, okay, May, because it had five moons over his head. And
Yeah.
then the buffalo said like 28th. So then I wrote down May 28th. And this was actually a day where it was very significant of what something that happened to my sister. Now, I don't know if she would like me to share that, but it was like
Yeah.
a big happening. Like I was so
Wow.
excited for it, and something actually happened to her that was pretty drastic. And I'm just like, wow, man. Like I thought it was going to be something really cool, like I would have like a bigger awakening or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was like the total opposite, and I'm just like, holy shit, dude! Like this is crazy.
Yeah. But the
So
fact that it like was something.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And
So
really quick, so randomly I put on some music. Sorry, I have to put on some. So like I'm gonna see if I can.
yeah, you're
And
fine.
I didn't know what I was gonna put on. I was like, should I put on lullabies or because Emma's right there. But
Yeah.
then I put on the sound healers and look at what I put on.
Dude, yes. Yeah, man, that's almost how she looked too.
Here,
Like,
I
that's
love it.
crazy.
Like I didn't even like I was just like because it's like it was like initiation to like a light worker or something.
Yeah.
It's the sound healers or
Yep.
and I was just like, oh, I like this one, like, but that's so
Yeah.
funny. I didn't know
Yeah,
you were gonna
man.
share that. That's so
Yes.
funny.
So now, like, when I get my messages and stuff like that, sometimes I'll have visions of like the goddesses or the deities that come in for me.
Yeah.
So I can hear like they send me messages through thoughts and stuff like that, which is
Hmm.
clairaudience. So visions and everything. I've also had like dragon eyes pop open or seen like eyes looking back at me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm able to see like interdimensional like beings and stuff and just like sacred geometry too
Yeah.
sometimes. But those aren't really vision. Maybe they are because it's more like when I close my
Sounds
eyes,
like
I see
it.
that type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. So,
Yeah,
but
like connection, like connecting. Sounds like,
yeah,
like just
right.
to
Yeah, so
whatever's out
that's
there.
my experience with visions, but that's like one of the biggest part of my journey because that's
Yeah.
main gift. So it's cool to be able to
That's,
share. I have a lot
yeah.
more, but I don't want to keep you everyone here
No,
forever, you
I
know?
I
So,
love it because like my background was so closed.
hmm
Like going inward was, but I mean, I had a very active imagination too.
yeah,
But and this is another thing where it's just like I can laugh about it now because like it's almost endearing because it's to me, and I say this out of love to everybody who might be tuning in who is still on like fundamental Christian path, because it to me it's like it's very all in love, very like little kids, like stubborn little kids who don't fully understand something, but it's like they've been told that this is really serious, and they're gonna believe it to, it's just like no no, like no no no, and it's because like imagination, and like on PBS, like PBS, the kids shows, like it's all about
yep,
imagination and all
yeah,
about,
yep,
like that was demonized, like it was
and
like, and it's like, but imagination is so important, like
right,
it's, and it's like, and they know that, but then it's like, because like, and I was even talking to my dad, this was right around my awakening, and I said something like, I was kind of sharing about like, I was starting to look for like ways to, um, like start my creativity, and like, um, and I was like, like where does, like inspiration, I was kind of like talking like like or objectively, or like just out loud, I was
yeah,
like,
yep,
like where does inspiration come from, and he's like, I could tell you that it comes from God, and I was like, and I didn't want to get into it because like he and I are very similar, like we just kind of get passionate, like we just get,
yeah,
and I hadn't worked through like what exactly do I, like all that. um but for me, I'm like, but people who aren't Christians have inspiration, like
yeah,
are creative, like
yeah,
if it comes from God, like, so is that stuff not, then what's the point? So like what like that doesn't make sense, like that box of
right,
like yeah, it's yeah. So
yeah.
that's going off topic a little bit, but um let's see, what was on my um oh, so I want to share one thing because I love how you on your visions, like the only, so going back to like I was very closed off to all of that because
Yeah.
it was, like you just don't do that. You're opening up yourself, But I
hmm
remember one time, and this is like my claim as a kid to like, I had this weird intuitive knowing, and like it
hmm
always gives me goosebumps because I had no idea how I knew this.
Yeah.
So we were doing, so at our church, there was one family, and they had a girl, and she was probably, I was probably like 8, 9 at the time, and she was probably like 14. And I always looked up to her. Like she was just like one of those like cool like girls, really nice family. Um, so anyway, so during a summer, I was going to take tennis lessons through the city, like a
Yeah.
city, like it was like a camp. And we lived in, it was like a city or like a town away. Um, and like I remember we were getting ready to go, and I was like kind of nervous, and I was just excited, and in my mind I knew, I was like, I bet Lindsay's gonna be there. and i
Yes.
and I was just like, well,
Yeah.
and so we get there, and like that they're like telling us, and like we had to go all the way to the other court, like, so like there
Yeah.
was this court, and then we went on that court. And so we're like standing in line, and like I look over at like where people come up, and I see like you know how you know like someone's there late, kind of, and the family is like there, and
Yeah.
Lindsay is like coming around the gate, and I'm like I mean, I just was
Yeah.
like it was the weirdest. Like I like I'm getting goosebumps because I'm like, how did I know that? Like it had nothing came of it, nothing,
Yeah.
But it was
Yeah.
like I knew that she was going to be there. And
Yeah.
like I don't, and we were not like we didn't really talk to them at church, like we
Right.
didn't. There was no way for me to even. I just knew,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it was the coolest thing, and I was just like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, that's so weird,
Yeah. And sometimes I feel like things like that is just having the veil be so thin that you can
Yeah,
into like the future type of thing. Because everything is now. So it's basically just seeing into something and
yeah,
knowing, just pulling
yeah,
some of that information from that other dimension or whatever it is,
yeah,
being like, oh yeah, she's gonna be there, or oh yeah, and then when it happens, you're just like, no way, dude.
yeah. I know. I
Yeah,
know.
that's
I
cool.
really try and because like we're still I'm still learning, the how you're raised and like your root chakra and your sacral, like how whatever surrounded you as a kid. Like I'm still working through those things, and it's really exciting. Like in the last week, like little things have popped up where I'm like,
Yeah,
that's so cool. Like unexpected little, like not, but like little unexpected money, or like just things where it's like, ooh, that's so magical.
yeah,
And like, so it's not like I can't allow my kids to do like whatever they want in terms of, like, it's like our abundance is still coming in. Like it's here. It's
right,
just, so
yeah,
but like I really try and like not, like I kind of let them be free to, like, if they're like, like we want to do this, or
yeah,
whatever. Like I really let it just take root, because I'm like, or I'll be like, oh, that's so exciting, like I
yeah,
think you can totally, we'll totally be able to do that,
yeah,
but
yeah,
like,
eventually.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what
So
I
it's,
do with Andon too. Like if
yeah,
you'll be like, "Oh, can we get that like now or whatever?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, we'll get it eventually." Like
yeah,
now that we have it in our minds, but
yeah,
we just have to chill for a while now. And
yeah,
it'll
like,
eventually happen, and he'll be like, "Oh, okay."
yeah. Like, all right,
It's like,
yeah,
"Okay, cool." Yeah,
exactly,
and that's like how it is. It's a difference between saying like, "Oh no, we don't have."
yeah,
No, we can't, whatever. It's like, oh, sure, eventually we can, but
yeah,
we've never thought of it before. So
yeah,
now
exactly.
we can think about it and now it'll pop in
And I think
eventually.
that's the difference between when people, and it happens to grown-ups too, when you kind of don't allow things, because sometimes we think we want something, and if we like just get it, which is fine too, but like
Yeah.
sometimes when we just be like impulse, or it's just like, yes, I want it and I'm gonna get it, then
Yeah.
it's kind of like you realize like, oh, it wasn't really what I thought,
Yeah.
or so I think it's always a good thing when you kind of let it like germinate
Yeah, you let it
and
simmer
like
for a
grow,
while. Yeah.
which isn't what happens in nature.
Yeah, seriously. Yep, you plant a seed and then you see and watch it grow, and if it does,
Yeah,
it does, and if it doesn't, then
yeah,
whatever, on to the next, right?
yeah,
I mean, I think
exactly.
that's with like ADHD too. Like I get into a lot of things
Ew.
and I'll like just buy something because I like the idea of it or something, and then
Yeah,
I'll get it and then I'll like never use it and I'll be like, okay. But then it's also there's a card that I have in one of my decks, and it says all that glitters is gold or
yeah,
something like
I've heard
that.
something like that too.
All that glitters doesn't shine, something
Yeah,
like that. And it's like
is it
one minute
gold,
you
all
think that
that
you really,
glitters?
really want something,
Yeah,
and then it's like it may not be all what it's hyped up to be. So
yeah,
sometimes you just have to let it flow and maybe let it come to you, or
yeah,
you know. Just
or
like,
like letting it go. There's another saying we I have to like write down the sayings because I
right,
do that all the time. I'm like, it fits perfectly in my head, and then I go to say it, and I'm like,
right.
oh, I don't
Yeah,
even
and then
do
the words
that.
are done.
Like,
Um,
it's not in my head.
Aubrey Marcus says something really beautiful, and he says that he said it, and now I can't remember the words, but it was something like words are the downfall of poetry or of the
Oh
magic
yeah,
because you can't. How can you put feelings and all of this magic into words?
yeah.
Sometimes, you know?
It's so limiting. Like
Yeah,
it's insane.
yeah.
Um, so the so from the classical music, um, and realizing that like sound and vibration
Hmm.
was sort of still under the umbrella of our creator, like our creator made that too,
Yeah.
like so it's not just it's not made up,
Yeah.
like it's actually happening.
Yeah.
um and then and this really tied into like my kids as well because I was really overwhelmed. I just would have little blow up sessions, and it was just, I did not want to do that, and I
Yeah.
didn't want to just go behind, like remove myself from, like I needed, so I went on a hunt. And then mind heart coherence came in.
Hmm.
Um, and realizing, and Greg Braden, this is where he breaks it down like so. He has roots in Native American too. He lives
Cool.
in New Mexico.
Nice.
Um, and very indigenous, and he just the way he breaks it down, I just could listen to him like all day. Like
Yeah.
he
I've
makes
never
it like,
heard of him, so I'll have to
oh,
look.
you'd have to look him up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll
You'll have
send
to
you,
send me a
I'll
link or
post in
something.
the Discord. I'll
Yeah.
post a video. He's really good.
Cool.
Um, so I want to say, and this ties into like the earth, the Schumann resonance
Hmm.
of the earth and how the earth actually has its own vibration,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then, if they can scale like the negative emotion or the negative vibrations,
Yep.
and then like as like being human is the fact that we are like the only mammal who can choose to sit and regulate our heart,
Yeah. Yes.
like that's incredible. Like
Yeah.
that's not just like that, like that's incredible, like
Yeah.
that's so much like power that we have,
Hmm.
in such a humble way, in such a humble, like, not like, oh, like, because immediately I
Right.
think if you're not aware of all this, it's set like like, and again, to the
Yeah.
words, because the
Yep.
words can be taken as like, oh, well, so you think you're God, or, like
Yeah.
you think you're putting yourself up here. And it's like, but it's not. It's like you're grounding yourself,
Right.
you're regulating yourself. And
Hmm.
like I remember I shared this with one of my sisters, and she's a nurse. And so I'm like, did you know that like when you like you can regulate, and like when you breathe, when you consistently, um or like pragmatically, like when you breathe in and out, and
Yeah.
she was like, yeah, like the vagus nerve, because she's
Yeah.
very scientific, like
Yep.
I
Yeah.
and I'm like, and it's so funny because it's growing up, like, even though we like demonize like evolution, and we like a lot of science we kind of saw as like the devil in a sense.
Hmm.
My mom's mom, my nana, was a doctor, which is amazing because this was like the 30s, and like
Yeah.
women
Damn.
like were never, I know, like, so
Yeah.
she was very like, and then my mom always wanted to be a nurse, and she became a nurse in her
Yeah.
50s, which is even, even amazing as well. And then my sister is a nurse, so like we were very, you can't not accept science if you're a nurse, or a
Yeah.
doctor, like you have to, so
Right.
science was very important to them. They're very sciencey.
Yeah.
So it's that became important to me, even though I'm more open to like the
Yeah.
woo woo side of it, because like
Yeah.
I love math. Like I just have always, I've always loved that. So like science wasn't as important to me, but I think I inherently knew like if I'm going to share this, I want to be able to show that it's not just new agey, or
Right.
whatever. Like it's this
Yeah.
is how this is how it was created to be.
Yeah,
Like
dude,
this is
seriously. That's how it's like, how can you not, you know? Because like when I was looking at the science part of it, it's like basically saying that like, yes, all of these methods do work. And it's like, yeah, no shit, dude. That's
yeah,
literally what everything is. Everything is a vibration. Everything is energy. Even words are energy. We are
mm-hmm.
energy. What we feel is energy. And when we have these what would it be like sound baths or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
we have these tools to help regulate our energy and our vibration. So everything really is vibration. Everything is matter,
Yeah,
which also translates into the word mother. So it's like everything is from creation. Everything is created, and from the vibration that you put out, that is what you're creating. And it's
yeah,
like all it's when you think of it, when you understand it, it's so easy. Like it's not obviously not easy to like always be super aware or whatever. I mean like when you're healing all of this stuff, but when you get it, then it's like,
yeah.
oh, okay, like
Which segues with what you just said, the just how everything is energy,
mhm,
everything is moving, and it's everything is in a constant state of motion,
yeah.
which I remember learning about like the split particle experiment they did where they put particles in like a controlled, however they do their sciencey experiments,
Yeah.
and they observed it, and it did something else when it was not being observed. But as soon as a person's consciousness observed it, it had a different outcome
Because they were soaking in that vibration that the person
because
was
it's
putting out.
connected.
Yeah.
And then they also separated a particle, like one particle whatever, they separated it, and whatever happened to this one happened to this one too, so like
Yeah.
proving like it's all connected, like nothing
Right.
really, which is outside of our scope, because it's like mind boggling,
Right.
because our mind and our ego only know what it's been taught, like it can't know anything other than what
Right.
it thinks it knows. It
Right. And
doesn't know
that's why,
anything.
yeah, and that's why educating yourself and obtaining knowledge either through witnessing or finding wisdom within the earth and the symbolism
Yeah.
within the earth or whatever, or going to scriptures or books or YouTube,
Yes.
like that. So, yeah.
And like I think when and I was like, I always, do you ever like, I've done this since I was a kid, and this is probably me talking to my guides, honestly, but like I'll just like be having conversations with myself, and like I have to
Yeah.
remember, like sometimes in public, like
Yeah.
I'll find myself doing it, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, people probably think I'm crazy. I'm like, but when I'm walking around my house, like I'll just be talking and be like, yeah, totally, like and like practicing too, like
Yeah.
if I'm gonna be, but I just it's probably my guys talking to me, but I
Hmm.
was when I was like having a conversation, I was realized that like all the boxes that we all have, that every person has, their little belief structure, like the creator is there. Like
Yeah.
source is in every single box,
Yep.
and even though we make these little like huts and these little houses and these little, whatever, like we might think that we're, separate, but like we're not. Like source is
Right.
still there. Like
Yeah.
source is at the source of every single religion. Like
Yeah.
every single, it's all permeated in there,
Right.
like you can't get away from it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and
it's,
that's why it's good to like study every one and then take what resonates for you. And
yeah,
everybody will resonate differently, of what little pieces they want to um obtain. or
Yeah.
whatever, you know?
And I think
So,
what really, this isn't really sciencey, this is more like history. But it became really apparent to me as I was looking for just, this goes back to like my kids and like, plan, like, what do I need to share? Like, what do I have to pass on this legacy of, fear? And like, I don't
right.
want to. Like, I
Yeah.
really don't. I want to just leave it, like, can I? And I was realizing and studying like the origin of the Bible, like
Yeah.
why, like, and I don't think, and I remember I was sharing this with one of my sisters too, and it struck me because I was saying like, this is like things weren't peachy keen back then. Like when they were stitching this together, like I don't think they had like our best interests at heart. You know what I mean? Like, because
Yeah.
I remember she was like, she said like she didn't really care. Like she didn't care like what happened back then. Like she know like right now. And I get, and it was kind of like, because I was learning about like present moment and stuff like that. And so I was
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah, I guess, But now I'm like, no, it does matter because
Yeah.
they were doing that because the masses couldn't read back then.
Right.
Like they could have said anything and they would have to believe it,
Right. Yeah.
Like, so that type of like ignorance,
Mm-hmm.
like that's why like for 2000 years like it's been staunched. Like there hasn't been able to be any expansion because it's like no, like
Right. Yeah.
no, like
Yeah.
this is what we believe or you're going to hell. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Or you're gonna
no.
get stoned, or we're gonna kill you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
because they didn't
So it's
want
either
anybody to be being free or having their free will, um, because then they would see they
yeah,
wanted money. That's what they wanted. They wanted to
right.
control, and they wanted money, and that was like the biggest,
Power and
the
money, which it
power.
hasn't
Yeah.
changed at
Yeah.
all, but
Yeah.
through evolution and
Yeah.
like through expansion, and it's interesting because I really didn't. It was this is where like my personal depression was I really like was pondering like then what's the point? Like what's the point of all of this? Like like what is if we're not allowed to expand and we're not allowed to think about these things
Yeah.
and we're just supposed to binge watch Netflix, which is, like that's fine if you're just, you've had a long, like whatever.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I still watch stuff sometimes,
Right.
but like it's not like I watched a lot more TV way back when
Yeah.
than I do
Same.
now. And not no judgment, like
Right.
whatever. But there was nothing else to do.
Right. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing else to do. That
Exactly.
was the only thing, and plus like my personal story was like there was so much fear of um like the future. Like I couldn't really be optimistic about the future because it was ending. You know what I mean? So
Right.
like
Yeah.
what was the point of creating anything? Like
Right.
I don't
Well,
want to create.
that was like my same background too, because I've tried to bust out of the mold when I was smaller, when I
Yeah.
was younger. And it's like anytime that I would be suppressed, or I was suppressed
Mhm.
because I was different. And I remember in high school, like I would wear like anarchist shirts and stuff like that. And I
Yeah.
was like very like punk rock type
Yeah.
thing.
Is that a
And
band?
whenever I was at school, like they would be like, hey, you got to turn your shirt inside out, because I was rebelling against
Yeah.
what everything was really. And it's like I kept getting suppressed. And I'm like, how can there be a God when we're not able to express ourselves, or when we're
Yeah.
not able to experience and experiment what this life is, And that's when
Yeah.
I became an atheist. And it was like, well, what is even the point? It's basically the same concept. And then when you break out of that box and you're like, whoa, there is so much out there, like understanding the multidimensionalism, selves that we
Yes.
are and how much we can attain from studying every single thing. And like everything is so beautiful when you understand that, like what it takes for something to grow, what it takes
Hmm.
for something to emanate oxygen, or like
Yeah.
plants and stuff, or different colors and their meanings and everything. And it brings so much magic. And you said like your dad said that the inspiration comes from God or whatever.
Yeah.
It is truly your imagination. And the more that you can let your imagination run free and make stories within the
Yeah.
world or within the different aspects of life, that's really how you paint a beautiful, wonderful life and
Yeah.
create art or create music. Like it was really cool because my mom, she's been really liking my flute.
Oh yeah. I love it.
She works at a clinic, at a tribal clinic, so on the reservation. And she
Hmm.
messaged me this morning and she's like, Brooke, I love that so much. And I just listened to it on repeat. And she's like, could you make me like a track that I can play
Yeah.
in the clinic or whatever? And I'm like, cool, yeah. But she was also telling me when she first listened to it that like it calmed her down so much and she was able to like she was having like I think it was who was it? I think she said like ISIS or something came to her
Wow.
and like
Yeah.
she was feeling like her chakras, it was helping her chakras release and stuff like that, which is really
Yeah.
cool. And I'm like, damn, cool, okay. I mean,
Yeah.
what I wanted, because what I wanted was for the throat chakra. But I
Yeah.
mean, if the energy is going to hit you where it needs to, then it will,
Exactly.
right? And it is vibration and it is
Yeah.
feeling tunes, and especially when you put your intention into it. Like
Yeah.
when we were talking about water earlier too, and the magic of putting intention into your water and speaking love into your water fills up with that vibration, and then you
Yeah.
drink it.
Yes.
And then it fills you up full,
That was
like
one of
it,
the other things in my thing. Yeah, was
yeah,
water and like our intent, like how it can make crystals and the different vibration of it
yeah.
is, and on like they'll put like sand or sugar or salt or granular, like
Mhm.
a big they'll dump some onto like a plate, like a
Yeah,
flat plate,
yeah.
and then they'll
Yep.
do the vibration and it makes
It makes
the
geometry.
geometry shapes.
Yeah.
Like, are you
Yeah.
kidding me right now? Like,
Right. And
I
even
mean, I didn't like that's incredible.
yeah. Yeah, and even just seeing shapes, like I think I might want to put up some like maybe back here on this empty space behind me.
Yeah,
And it's like I don't want it to be too crowded, but I think
yeah,
maybe just like one. And I love the Metatron cube. Like
yeah,
I love that it resonates with me so much and I just studied it a lot and I understand it. But
yeah,
it's like when you connect, and the flower of life is truly all of us connected, and the tree of life is how we branch out to each other.
yeah,
And Metatron's cube is the 13 points of the feminine energy, and the lines are the masculine that connect that energy and bring it into the points of the universe and the points of the
yeah.
world. And it's like even looking at those shapes and geometry and stuff like that brings in a soothing
Hmm.
energy for you and stuff, and it's so
And
beautiful.
just realizing that, like, in when I took art too, like drawing or sketching, and you learn about form, and you learn things that we just, and I think it's just we just don't realize that when you break things all the way down, you realize like, oh yeah, like form and void and like
Mhm.
the the inner space and the, like we just see things and we just take stuff in, and our minds are so powerful that we're just like, like we don't even realize like what we're
Right.
actually taking in. But when you actually like bring it all the way down, and
Yeah.
just in art especially, this is where I also begin to realize like you can't have light without dark.
Yeah.
Like
Seriously.
realism, like when you're drawing,
Hmm.
like it will just look flat until you put in the shadows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's the whole point of Earth. That's the whole point of the human experience,
Yeah.
is to be
Yep.
able to meld both of them. You just can't be like, yes, I just want to be in the light. I mean, like you can, but
Right.
you're not going to see the beauty of it. You're not
Right.
going to see the contrast of like, oh wow, like that's beautiful,
Yeah.
like
Yep.
it's
And if you stay to like one side to like if you are just light, like if you don't study the shadows and if you are just love, you're gonna be scared. You're
yeah,
going to be fearful when those shadows come in. It's like you have to accept those shadows and
yeah,
also the shadow aspects of yourself because sometimes those shadow aspects of yourself need to get integrated so that you can have like you can have a better what would expression of your soul.
yeah,
Your soul wants to express itself in a unique way. Like some people are a little more edgy, some people are a little
mhm,
more whimsical, some people are this. And if you're not wanting to go into the depths of like the shadows where that part of you was hurt,
yeah,
and if you just want to keep pushing it away, then that's a beautiful part of you that isn't going to be able to be expressed through you,
yeah.
and
And I always picture like I might have said this last time, but I always, whenever I start thinking about the shadow and like really integrating it and understanding it, I always picture like a dark room,
hmm
and you just hear like scuffling and you just hear something, and it's like we build up these things, of like, what is it, what is that in there, like I don't want to look, and then finally like you open the door and like you look in, and you don't want to look, and then
right,
finally you look, and it's like just like this scruffy little kid who just doesn't know like what the heck is going on and has just been surviving and just
right,
wants, like it's just like, why don't you want to know me, like why don't you want, it's just me,
yeah, yeah.
and they don't even know how to say it because all they've known is just darkness,
Right. And then you're just suppressing them and they
yeah,
feel bad even worse, like
yeah,
does that make sense? I think so. Bad
and,
even
and
worse.
and that's probably the other, yeah, and that's probably the other, like, not more psychological, but like still sciency, is like the inner child, and
Mm,
like that probably ignited my compassion and
yeah.
my empathy,
Yeah.
realizing like if someone had hurt somebody, and you had a post, I think you just had a YouTube post of gosh, it was along these
The
lines.
lens of compassion.
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
you know and if somebody is doing something,
hmm
um it's most likely because
Something
they've
has
either
happened
had
to
it done
them.
to them,
hmm
or they just don't know. It's ignorance. Like
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
they really don't know,
Yeah.
And the more that we judge people and we're just like, can you believe that? Like, yeah, I can. Like,
Yeah.
kids will do, I mean, kids are kids. Like,
Yeah.
kids are just, they're not dumb at all. But they're in the moment. They're just going to do stuff because they're kids. Like, they don't
Right.
know and they're not thinking
Yeah.
ahead.
hmm
But when they're labeled as something and it's like, oh, this or that, then they just become like, they're just going to react to somebody else because somebody reacted to them. When really it's like, I was talking to another mom the other day, and this was like midway through my awakening, um, really shedding, like, in Christianity, it's very much about obedience. Like, children just obey your parents,
Yeah. Yep.
doesn't matter, like obey
Yep.
instantly, or, like whatever. Um, and so, and like parents are almost put on a pedestal. Um, like, honor your parents, like that's like the first, it's like if you're honoring your parents then you're honoring God, and it's
Right.
like, well, some parents don't really deserve honor.
Yeah, dude, seriously. And like the
I'm
respect
just
your
being
elders
honest.
thing, but then they're saying to respect your elder, but it's like some
Creepy,
jerk or something. Yeah,
yeah,
you
or
know?
pervert, or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. Yeah. And then that's
I
where
mean, it
weird
happens.
shit goes on,
Like,
because
you kind of have to earn, not earn, but you need to, every case is different.
yeah, 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 seriously. Like
Like,
that's what That's what I tell Andon too, because my sister brought over one of her boyfriends one time, and he was, I think it was over maybe like New Year's or something like that, and they were drinking, and he got like really drunk or whatever, and he was like um acting out and stuff like that, and Andon looks at me and he's like, "Mom, I don't like this guy." And
Sweet.
I'm like, yeah, that's fine. He's being out of hand and whatever. I'm like, if you want to go play your game, or if you want to go, chill out in the living
I
room,
don't like this
or
guy.
yeah, yeah. And I'm like,
That.
you don't have to like him. I'm like, we're not going to be rude or anything, of course,
Right.
but it
You remove
feel
yourself.
his energy. And the guy kept saying like, hey, he would joke around with him, but he would be like forceful, and he'd be like, hey, let me eat some of your food or something like that. And Andon's like, no. And I'm like, dude, we're not doing that. Like,
Yeah.
and Andon's just like, no, you're not doing that. And I'm like, dang, dude. I'm like, okay, all right, let's
Awesome.
go. But then
Yeah.
it's like, but then it also teaches your children to understand discernment and understand the vibes
Yes.
of other people. And Andon, he's very sensitive. So
Hmm.
I can always tell if something's going on, or if even people that we don't know, things are popping off. He'll like look at me like that or something, and it's like, yeah, I know, dude. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. Like we're good. Everything is fine. But there's some weird shit going on over here, type of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, but also, what did I want to say? I was reading a book. I don't remember what book it was, but it said what really helped me with this was there was a book that said treat adults like they are just kids,
Yeah.
and look at everyone like they are a kid, and, don't take anything personal from them, but also treat them with love. And like people want to be praised. And this is why in my job, in my work that I was at, I would always go by people and I'd be like, hey, Dan, you're doing a good job. And
Yeah.
Dan is like one of Sammy's really good friends now. And he'd be like, "Oh yeah, Brooke, okay." And I'm like, "You really are. You're doing a great job." And he's like, "What? Just sitting here?" And I'm like, "Yes, dude. You are like the best
Yeah.
person just sitting here right now." But it would make him laugh and smile. And then I would go up to Kevin or something, and I'd be like, "Dude, you're doing an awesome job. Like, keep it
Yeah.
going." And it's like, and then it would totally drop the barrier of that separation of
Yeah.
like, maybe he was having a shit day, or maybe he was
Hmm.
fucking up a lot of stuff, or maybe, and then I could always read the room though and see like if he was having like too bad of a day, I would
Yeah.
like go over there and say stuff. But it is an energy practice.
Yeah.
Everything is energy, and
Hmm.
when we start to understand that, we can play around with it, um, responsibly,
Yeah.
but also being able to see like how these different energies work out and play within different people.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know. And like the going back to the like parents
Mhm.
and so I was talking to the other mom and I realized, or we were talking about Bluey. Have you watched the show Bluey?
Mm-mm.
It's an Australian based show. It's
Yeah.
about a family of dogs and they're really cute. You've probably seen the, I don't know.
I've seen what they look like. I've
Yeah.
watched it, yeah.
So the dynamic is super cute. Like they're very conscious parents, for
Yeah.
like the way that they parent is very not over the top, like, just different than the way I was raised, like really tries to hear like what the kids are saying, like
Yep.
if like just and it's how I parent now. Like I'm not just like, no, I said go, like
Yeah.
that's how I was, like raised.
Right.
I don't want my kids just to file in and just sit, like little
Yeah.
robots.
Mhm.
I want them to be respectful, but I mean, if they want to ask a question or they're like, oh, what's this? What's that? Why are you doing, like, that's what they want to ask. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not
and
going to
they're curious.
suppress them.
Yeah, yeah, seriously.
Yeah. So like, I remember watching the show and it really like caused me to be like, one, it like, it'll make you feel like one of the worst parents ever because it's like they're such awesome parents. Like
Yeah.
these two
Yeah.
dogs, like they're just. And of course it's like writers, and it's like 7-minute episodes, so
Yeah.
it's like, you have to kind
Right.
of be like, okay, this
And you're
doesn't
just sitting
feel
there
real life.
watching Bluey taking notes.
Oh, but I really did,
Yeah.
and it really taught me, like, it taught
Nice.
me
Yeah,
how
that's
to
good.
be like, like how to apply that in a
Yeah.
practical way, and to be
Yes.
okay with that, and to like realize um, my kids don't owe me their respect just because I'm
No.
their parent. Like,
Yes.
they
Yeah.
don't,
That's
like
a
I
big
earn it. And
thing.
my kids and like JJ, and they all do. Daniel does it a little less, I think, because he's the oldest. But he used to. But JJ will just be like, he'll be like, Mom, you're the best mom in the whole world, and you're the best mom that I could ever ask for, and you're the best.
Yeah.
And like 5 years ago, I would have been like, oh no, like, and now I don't, because I
Yeah.
want them, when people compliment them, I want them to accept it. Kind of
Yes.
like your friend, where it's like people just aren't used to it.
Yeah.
It's like they've
Yeah.
been told that they're not, or like, why
Right.
aren't you doing more? Why don't you do more? Why aren't you, why aren't you
Right.
that? Why,
Yeah.
whatever. And so now I'm just like, thanks, babe. I'm like, then I'm like putting on them, like, well, you guys make it easy. Like you guys
Yeah.
are the best
Yeah,
that I could ever
seriously.
ask for.
Andon does the same thing. He'll be
Yeah,
like, Mom, I just love you so much and I miss you so much. And randomly he'll be like, You're the best mom. And I'll be like, Well, you're the best son. And it's
yeah,
easy. It's
yeah.
easy, like,
It's
because you're
not.
amazing. So,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Daniel does too. He's a little bit more. I think when I started being less parenty and more,
chill.
yeah, and like being your parent or your kid's friend, like it's gotten a bad rap. Like I think people are
Yeah.
like, well, they need a parent, and I mean, like obviously,
Right.
I'm their parent.
Right.
But I think he experienced like the difference the most,
Hmm.
like the shift the
Yeah.
most. And I know that he gets really verbal, like if he's not feeling well, he gets
Yeah.
really verbal, like it's almost like his I think his ego is less on when he doesn't feel good, or like he's, because he becomes much more like verbal with like, thanks for taking care of me, Mom, like thanks for, like,
Yeah.
why would I not take care of you? Like,
I
of
know.
course.
Dude.
But I
Yes.
think but I think it's a good thing that when he's feeling good, like he feels like in control, like he feels like he's doing his life, like I
Yeah.
think he doesn't need me as much when he's
Yeah.
doing his thing.
And that's his little masculine too, though.
Yeah.
Like being independent. Andon is very independent.
Yeah.
It's like, I
I mean,
don't,
like Daniel would probably get an apartment.
dude, seriously, yes. I mean, I have to teach him how to like do laundry and I want him to cook for himself and clean
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But now, like, I just get him on the weekends, maybe during the summer, because I think I want to keep him during the summer or see how
I know,
that.
I was gonna ask you, since you guys like are living closer, I bet like you could like,
Yeah, we'll see. Do you think we're done with this episode though?
yeah,
I'm not sure if we're connected to that
yeah.
anymore, though. So, do you feel good?
Yeah, I feel great.
Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and end it here since we're going trailing off a little bit. I mean, I
Yeah.
still feel like it's all connected though.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
we
sure.
ended on, yeah. I
Yeah,
think it was awesome.
cool. Nice. Okay, so
Yeah.
thank you guys for tuning in to this episode, and our socials are down below. And
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see you in the next one. I'm not sure what we have planned for the next one.
I know we hit all of our like
Yeah,
pillars.
yeah, we're done with the pillars now. So we'll go ahead and talk about that amongst ourselves. And
Yes.
then
Yeah.
we'll be here next time when we are
Yay.
all here. So thank you guys. And
Okay.
I love you guys. Bye.
Bye.